Talking to me. Talking to me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Climate to Me, episode 4, the online edition. Congrats on working your way through these episodes. I'm really excited about today's session, and not because it's the last one. As always, if you'd like to take notes, we've shared a link to our episode 4 worksheet in the video description, alongside some links to other amazing resources, including a participant resources doc where you can share resources that you think are useful with other Talk Climate to Me participants. All right, let's get started. I'm joining you again today from near Orangeville, Ontario, which is the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Peton, Anishinaabe, and Mississauga peoples, including treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit. This land is now home to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people from across Turtle Island. As a settler, I absorbed a lot of colonial ideas growing up, like the idea that nature is something out there, separate from humans. Rather, we are part of a web of interdependent relationships. I am grateful to Indigenous teachers who have helped me grow and at least begin to unlearn this mindset. Thomas King, author of The Back of the Turtle, alongside Thompson Highway, lyricist of The Cave, which, for the record, is described as an apocalyptic cabaret about why all the animals sought refuge. They are influential teachers in my learning of Indigenous issues and knowledge. One author I'm looking forward to reading, though, is Robin Wall Kimmerer. I've only heard wonderful things about braiding sweetgrass. And in this book, Dr. Kimmerer writes, "All flourishing is mutual. We need the berries and the berries need us. We are bound in a covenant of reciprocity, a pact of mutual responsibility to sustain those who sustain us." Living in reciprocity means taking only what we need and giving back in equal measure. This, of course, is a lesson we can use in addressing the climate crisis. I feel grateful for the teachings from Indigenous teachers. What about you? Whose ideas have opened you to different ways of knowing? Take a moment to remember your teachers. Before we jump in, let's settle in with our final grounding practice together. As always, this is a moment to gently arrive here and be present. I invite you to close your eyes, resting your hands gently on your lap. Take one big breath, feeling the air go down into your belly. Hold it there for a moment. Now, as you breathe out, exhale any distractions or worries. With your eyes still closed, take a moment to reflect on today's theme, flourishing. What would flourishing feel like for you and for your communities and for all of society? Take one more deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, open your eyes. All right, it's our last session, so we're going to make this one really count. But first, a recap of the last episode where we talked all about changes. We looked at climate pollution in Canada and noticed that oil and gas and transportation were the country's biggest contributors. And we heard how Canada is falling behind other countries when it comes to bringing down our carbon emissions. We heard about what needs to change in Canada. We covered our top 4 barriers to change: carbon lock-in, the fossil fuel lobby, colonialism, and climate silence. Finally, we talked about how people like us can create ripples within our networks and how these ripples can create waves of systemic change. How? By taking action and talking climate. I'm curious, did you do one of our calls to action from episode 1, 2, or 3? If you did, please either share on social media and tag us at @TalkClimateToMe or use the hashtag #TalkClimateToMe. Or if you're not on social, please send us an email at hello@talkclimatetome.ca. Okay, so our theme today is Flourishing. Yes, the hills are alive with the sound of all of us living our best lives in a climate-safe world. On deck for today, we're going to talk about the benefits of climate action, reasons why taking climate action can improve our health, prosperity, and even equity. We're going to reflect on our learning over the last few weeks. And from there, we're going to start honing in on our own personal climate thing. I'll explain more when we get there. And then, well, you'll be ready to graduate. All right, so stick around, it's going to be great. Last time we talked about systemic change. We know that change is inevitable. We can't opt out of it. Our energy systems, our economies, our ways of life are in transition. You might not think swift change is possible, but these last 2 years have shown that massive change is possible in a quick period of time. Governments, businesses, institutions, and people can mobilize quickly and dramatically. This complete transformation of society, it all seems like a giant leap. But today, we want to talk about all the reasons why taking that leap is worth it. Climate action can help us create a flourishing future for society as a whole, but also within our own lives. It honestly just makes life better all around. Think back to the 2050 video with Jamie in episode 1, or the Imagine video with Shia Bastida in episode 2. When you imagine a beautiful future, what strikes you in terms of all the additional benefits? For me, it's communities coming together for the common good. It's 4-day work weeks and universal basic income. Fun fact, 4-day work weeks are actually a climate solution because when we're less busy, we consume less. A climate-safe future is also about being able to revel in nature, not worried about if this is the last time you'll swim in a clean river. I mean, it's just so many things. We spoke with Alicia Richens, a sustainability consultant and advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals, to hear more about the benefits of climate action.
Hello, my name is Alicia Richens, and I'm a sustainability and social impact consultant and affairs advocate for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, or global goals, represent a global framework for sustainable development that spans the economic, social, and environmental spheres. And they aim to achieve 17 different goals by 2030. It's the first truly global framework for sustainable development that recognizes that all countries, rich and poor, big and small, north and south, have a lot of work to do to get there individually and together. So I really get excited about the way that the SDGs frame not only our interdependence as a global community, meaning the way that we depend on each other, but also the interdependence of all of our issues. We're not going to eradicate poverty, for instance, without achieving gender equality. Sustainable production and consumption can't exist without decent work. And the health of our natural ecosystems around us requires courageous climate action that we know is mostly led by women. There's so many ways that climate action provides additional benefits to communities. On one hand, I think about the retrofitting that we need to do to make our buildings and cities more sustainable, and also building out our infrastructure for renewable energy. And the way that not only gets us emissions reductions, but it also gets us decent work. It also gets us reskilling and retooling, otherwise ununionized, marginalized communities, and gets them decent work that they can earn money and invest in themselves and their communities and just, build out those ripple effects. To me, climate action is necessarily the same thing as climate justice. Because at the end of the day, it's really our histories of injustice and inequality and, colonization and imperialism and land theft and extractivism and slavery. Those are all of the things that set us up for this problem today. And so in order to fix the problem, we need to address that past. We need to redress our history and the injustices between us and really reconcile our relationships with each other and with nature, because that's the only way we're going to get courageous enough to take the action that so far isn't happening as fast as we need it. What keeps me motivated is knowing that in the face of all this work, we're actually working toward a better future for us. And it's that vision of, clean air and green landscapes and healthy relationships with each other and those landscapes that really keeps me motivated. Because it's not like the world is perfect today and climate change is just coming to ruin everything, right? The world is already a hot mess without climate change. Climate change is just making it worse, but climate action and the work that we do to stave off climate change or to limit climate change is also the work that's going to make our communities and our lives better at the same time.
The world is already a hot mess without climate change is probably my favorite line in all of our videos. Okay, Alicia had some wonderful insight, and we want to give you a few moments to reflect on what you heard. You know how this goes. Take a minute to summarize your takeaways, and then think about how you would talk to your friend about the benefits of climate action. Okay, I'll play some music and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I hope it was helpful to have a moment to take in what you heard. For me, my big three takeaways are, our challenges are interdependent. So are the solutions. I loved all of Alicia's examples, like how building retrofits reduce emissions and create decent work. Number two, to fix the problems, we need to address injustices, the very things that set up our problems that we're seeing today. And finally, climate change makes problems worse, but climate action makes life just so much better. All right, let's dig into this some more with some more examples. Let's look at the economy. Sometimes you'll hear people say climate action will cost too much, but this analysis usually ignores how much it will cost us if we don't take action. In fact, not acting on climate could mean G7 economies shrink twice as much as they did during the pandemic. But the reverse is also true. There are trillions of dollars of benefits from investing in this transition. Doing all the things like investing in clean energy, retrofitting our buildings, these can yield huge economic benefits. And what about jobs? Well, it's a lot of work to save the planet, and that means lots of jobs. How often does fixing something really bad mean you also get to create millions of jobs? In fact, the energy efficiency sector is growing so fast, some experts worry we won't have enough skilled workers to fill all these new green economy jobs. That's gobs of jobs. You might ask, but what about the people working in the oil and gas sector? What about Alberta? Yes, we need a compassionate response to people and communities that rely on fossil fuel industries. The best way we can care for workers is to ensure that the transition away from fossil fuels is fair, gradual, planned, and supported. And that's exactly what they're asking for. 88% of fossil fuel workers are interested in training and development for jobs in the net zero economy. But it's not just about jobs in the economy. It's so much more. Think about health. Remember how transportation was the second largest source of climate pollution in Canada? Less driving means less air pollution. The Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, or CAPE, found that achieving Canada's net zero by 2050 goals can save an estimated 112,000 lives from air pollution alone. So how do we do that? we need to give people great alternatives so they can leave their cars at home. That means investments in rapid transit and safe walking and biking paths. It also means encouraging electric vehicles and creating 15-minute cities where you can find everything you need within 15 minutes of home, which Paris is actually working on right now. Climate solutions have so many different benefits beyond just reducing greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, the benefits are so interconnected that we had trouble breaking them down by themes. Like, it's not just reducing deaths from air pollution, it's that and creating more inviting, livable cities. Like, for instance, let's talk trees. Sure, they're incredible at drawing down carbon, but that's just the beginning. Here are some of the benefits of trees that we were thinking about. Trees cool things down. Planting trees can protect vulnerable communities from extreme heat and cut air conditioning by 7%. Trees also make us healthier. Trees clean the air, reducing respiratory illness, and they reduce stress and improve mental health. This was demonstrated with an unfortunate natural experiment when the emerald ash borer deforested neighborhoods. After the ash trees were wiped out, seemingly overnight, there was a 10% spike in deaths from respiratory illnesses and heart disease. Trees also help manage stormwater, help protect against that basement flooding, and trees create habitat for urban birds and wildlife. But even our list only begins to scrape the surface. What other additional benefits can you think of? Now, here's a quote from Bloomberg City Lab about trees. There are few actions governments can take that fight climate change, improve air and water quality, advance equity, and improve the mental health of citizens all at once. In fact, trees are so essential to human health and equality that they can help cities and countries advance 15 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Trees just do it all. As the great climate champion Paul Hawkins says, these are no regrets solutions. They have so many benefits in terms of jobs, prosperity, our children, clean water, clean air. It goes on and on and on. Climate action is a win all around for our mutual flourishing. Our work now is to ensure that we push for change to happen fast and to ensure that the transition is compassionate for workers and fair and healthy for all communities. There's actually a lovely video about an Indigenous community in Alberta taking climate action. Sacred Earth Solar launched the Pita Pan Solar Project in Little Buffalo. Please feel free to pause this video and head on over to the Sacred Earth Solar video, which is in our video description. When you watch, take notice of all the additional benefits this clean energy initiative brings to their community. Okay, welcome back. I hope you took a moment to watch the video. If you haven't, I really do recommend you watch it, as it is such an inspiring story. And when I watch that video, I see not only a climate solution, but an initiative that provides training and jobs for individuals. The solar panels power the community's health center. It also brings people within the community as well as other communities together to create a better future. There's honestly just so many things. And watching that story, it truly feels like we're watching the coming of a new era. And I hope you're excited about it. Okay, so this is the last session of Talk Climate to Me, and we want to remind you of the journey we've been on together. In episode 1, we welcomed you in and talked about why we're focused on women. We're more concerned, less confident, and also critical to solving the climate crisis. Dr. Kim Nicholas shared her climate haiku. Say it with me. It's warming, it's us, we're sure, it's bad, but we can fix it. And then we started imagining what the world might look like in 2050 if we get moving on climate action. Episode 2, empathy. Well, it was heavy. We needed to really understand what's at stake if we don't take action. We also saw how climate is already having impacts and how they're disproportionately affecting equity-seeking communities. We also saw how these same communities were leading the way on climate solutions. We took a moment to grieve and breathe. And then we measured our own climate impacts and learned that 45% of emissions are connected to household choices. That's a lot of room for us to make change. For episode 3, we looked at change. We looked at how Canada is falling behind other countries and that our emissions are still rising. We looked at how policy can enable the changes we need. We then explored 4 barriers to change, including the spiral of silence, and looked again at how talking climate plays a critical aspect in creating ripples and building momentum for change. And finally, for episode 4, Flourish, we talked about why taking this big leap towards a climate-safe future is worth it. It's because of all the benefits to the economy, equity, health, well-being, and more. And we saw this in action with the story of the Pitapan Solar Project. Throughout the course, we invited you to imagine a regenerative, flourishing, equitable future. And of course, we wanted you to realize your own power, your ability to influence others just by talking climate. We've covered a lot of ground these last 4 sessions. With all of that, I'm curious, looking back over this whole course, what's something that you're going to take with you? Take a moment to reflect. Either keep it in your head and your heart, or feel free to write it down, perhaps on our episode 4 worksheet. I'll play some music for about a minute for you to reflect on this, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I hope it was helpful for you to take a moment and reflect on all the things you learned and felt. I hope you're feeling knowledgeable about climate change and climate action, as well as excited to take the next step in your climate journey. But maybe you're also thinking, what do I do with all this energy and motivation? The quick answer is, well, anything. But anything can feel totally overwhelming, like when you're looking at the rows of non-dairy milk trying to figure out which one to buy. For what it's worth, oat milk beats almond milk on both water and climate. On taste, that's up for you to decide. But here's an important thing about, where you go from here. You got to bring you to this. You got to do what's important and joyful for you. Otherwise, you won't be able to sustain it. Like, sure, you got to vote, and writing to companies and politicians is powerful, and joining climate marches can be so uplifting. But as one of our favorite climate scientists, Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson says, how foolish is it if we don't ask people to do what they're good at in service of climate solutions? Like we said before, who do we need? Everybody. That includes hilarious YouTubers and brilliant engineers, children's book illustrators, and courageous politicians. We need all the skills, resources, and networks, all brought to the table. So you got to figure out your climate thing. But how do you do that? Well, it can definitely take a while, but we've got 2 questions to help you get started. First, what brings you joy? What gets you out of bed in the morning? This doesn't have to be climate related at all. Why joy? Well, this is the work of our lifetime. We're not going to be over dealing with climate change next year. So we need to sustain ourselves for the long haul. If you don't love it, you will burn out. And bonus, if you're doing joyful work, others will join you. In the words of Tony Cade Bombera, our job is to make the revolution irresistible. Question 2, what are you good at? Again, it doesn't have to be related to climate. What special skills do you have? What resources do you bring to the table? What networks are you tapped into? In other words, what is your magic? All right, so you may be thinking, all right, this is nice, but what's this all about? Well, think of it like a Venn diagram. The area of overlap, that's where you should focus. When you're thinking about what you can do in terms of climate action, tap into your passion and your special skills. That's what the world needs. This is actually part of an activity inspired by Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, who we just quoted a moment ago. Among other things, she co-edited the anthology All We Can Save and is the former co-host of our favorite podcast, How to Save a Planet. And actually, there's a third sphere in her activity. What is the work that needs doing? In other words, what climate solutions are you excited to help advance? Do you remember last episode, we sent you a flow chart to help narrow down your areas of interest? The flowchart asks, do you want to build up community resilience or build up people power or build up clean energy? Or do you want to stop bad laws, stop bad money, or stop bad infrastructure? Think about what climate solution you're most excited about or that you think needs doing. When you combine all three of these things, you have your climate thing. This does actually take quite a bit of time to figure out, and in practice, it may take you a couple tries to truly find something that sticks. So we actually have a resource that provides a more detailed explanation of this Venn diagram activity in the video description. And if you do try this exercise out later, please let us know how it goes. And whatever you end up with, just know that we need all your magic and joy and creative solutions to help us get to a flourishing, climate-safe future. Ultimately, what we're trying to say is this is a choose your own adventure. There are literally thousands of ways you can make a positive difference. Maybe you know exactly what you can do. If so, awesome. Or maybe you have no idea. That's okay too. A final tip to think about when you're trying to find your climate thing is to think about how you can make changes in your personal sphere. Remember, fleet, heat, meet. In your public sphere, think about all the people you know and the networks you're tapped into and how you can influence change there. And then the political sphere, voting, writing, marching. Ultimately, think about how your actions can make ripples and waves. So right now, I'd like you to think of one thing you want to do. Maybe it's even just something you want to learn more about, but commit to it here. And actually, please feel free to write it in the video comments. I'm going to play some music for you to think about your next step in your climate journey, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I hope it was helpful to have a moment to commit to an action right here and now. I also took this moment to think of something that I want to do. And my action is to learn more about a just transition to clean energy. Again, this is the work of our lifetimes. So we have some final tips to keep yourself motivated. First of all, focus on what you can do and don't worry about what you can't. Do what you love. In other words, do the things that bring you joy. Finally, do it with others. No one can do this alone. It's not only lonely, but we need to work together to build collective power. That's how we're going to change the system. And actually, speaking about doing this with others, we have a wonderful spreadsheet with a list of climate organizations that you can get involved with. The link is in the video description, and it definitely can be a jumping off point to how you can get involved with others in areas that you're interested in. And here's maybe the most important takeaway. Ask yourself, how can taking climate action support your personal flourishing? How do you want to grow as a person? How do you want to enrich your life and deepen your relationships? Because just like climate action in our cities can increase well-being and quality of life for residents, the same is true at the scale of our own lives. Think about what you value and cherish most. Chances are that leaning into a good life for yourself and for your community will have climate benefits too. In fact, some creative folks translated the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into human-sized goals for sustainable living. They call them the Good Life Goals. Check them out. The link is in the video description. It's a super cool initiative. Now, it wouldn't be Talk Climate to Me without some final calls to action. Today and forever, we're inviting you to keep talking climate. Take what you've learned and share it. Feel free to share any of our social media posts. And if you create your own content, keep us in the loop by tagging at Talk Climate to Me or using the hashtag Talk Climate to Me. Number 2, keep learning. Please feel free to sign up for Talk Climate to Me's newsletter. We'll keep you up to date on upcoming bonus sessions. You can also bookmark our What's On doc, which is shared in the video description. That way you can keep up to date on some climate events and continue your learning. Additionally, we also hold climate cafes on the first Friday of the month. Feel free to join us. That is also, the registration for our climate cafes is actually also in our What's On doc. Third, help us keep learning. If you have feedback, please share it with us. You can email us at hello@talkclimatetome.ca. Finally, keep it growing. If you liked this, help us bring it to more people by, sharing these online episodes. Also, be sure to like our episode videos and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with our latest content. And just as a by the way, Project Neutral is a small charitable organization. If this has been useful for you, we would be so grateful for your support. Please consider heading over to projectneutral.org/donate to support our work. You can also be a friend to Project Neutral by helping connect us to organizations that might benefit from our Lunch and Learns or from our Green from Home Workplace Challenge. We also have a youth educational initiative called Kids Cutting Carbon. So if you are a teacher or know some teachers, please be sure to share. The links to those programs are in the video description. So ultimately, keep talking, keep learning, and let's keep it growing together. All right, so here we are nearing the end of our course. We want to take a moment to thank everyone who made Talk Climate to Me possible. First of all, thank you to Canada's Climate Action and Awareness Fund for supporting this project, and to everyone who's helped us shape this course. We had fantastic reviewers who critiqued the course, and so many contributors from our course committee to our guest speakers to the artists who made our videos, music, and more. And most of all, thanks to you for being here, for learning, for sharing what you've learned. Thank you, dear Talk Climate to Me participants, for being a friend to the climate. But it wouldn't be a true send-off without a graduation. So just give me a second. Right. This on? Whoop. All right, that's on. My cape. Congratulations, Talk Climate to Me participants, for investing your time and energy in completing this course. We hope you've seen how climate change is the defining challenge of our time, and how this is the key decade, the one where we get to reshape our society and to work towards climate justice so we can all flourish. From here on out, graduates, all our decisions are climate decisions. We can step into this transition wholeheartedly, not afraid, but looking forward to creating a good life for all of us. And you're doing that. You're here. So we invite you to evolve into a climate communicator and become comfortable with calling yourself an advocate. And now it's time for you to take the next step in that journey. to go out there in the world and become the climate champion we know you are. So congratulations, YouTube class of 2022. Let's go out there and talk climate. In all seriousness, we would love to acknowledge that you invested in yourself and in the future of your community. And so we'd like to share a certificate proclaiming you as a Talk Climate to Me climate conversationalist. Share this proudly because you've been awesome. And yes, if you'd like, you can put this on LinkedIn. We have a link to this image alongside shareable Talk Climate to Me graphics in the video description. Okay, so we've now arrived at the end of Talk Climate to Me. You're ready to talk climate. And I just want to say that I'm proud of you all for showing up, for being eager beaver climate leaders. You have been so amazing, and I'm so excited to see what you're going to do from here. And I just want you to remember as we part ways today, I want you to remember these words of wisdom. What a magnificent thing to be alive at a moment that matters so much. So go out there and let's do it. And once again, if you happen to miss any of the episodes, or if you're just craving some more Talk Climate to Me content, head on over to Project Neutral's main YouTube page. We have a Talk Climate to Me episode playlist ready for you, alongside a whole bunch of other content that you can watch and share. All right, that's it for now. Happy talking climate. Happy taking climate action. Bye.